Alright, what I want to show you today is my homemade plywood Telecaster. Here it is. Plywood this is just stuff I had laying around. I said I want to make a body. I wasn't going to go out and buy any fancy tone woods, whatever that means. It was just kind of a cool thing to put together with some scrap materials. So it was 3/4 inch plywood that I had from some furniture projects, and ended up with 4 pieces. There's 1, 2, and then 2 on the back, as I'll show you in a second. And it was a fun project. I have to say I made a lot of mistakes while doing this. I don't always have the right tools for the job. I'm not a professional woodworker. It's a hobby. One thing I did not have was a router, so a lot of my cavities for the electronics are not super pretty, but thankfully they're hidden pretty well. As I said, the body is plywood. If you see as I turn it over, you can see the plies. I did a lot to fill in the gaps and things before I finished it. And the funny thing is, in the back, you'll see this, which is awesome because this was actually a test piece I had for a stain, again, for a furniture project. And I just had a scrap laying around, so I said, why not use it? It's definitely a unique thing. I had some drilling issues where I drilled a little too far into the back here. Same thing here when I was trying to do for the electronics. So, again, you do the best you can with what you got. And speaking of what I got, this whole bridge situation here was just a knockoff, and it came with the pickup. I got it for about $20 from a cool independent guitar shop called Just Guitars. They've hooked me up with a lot of other projects, items for projects, and if you're in Connecticut, look them up. They're on the Turnpike, and just good to support some local independent guitar shops out there. So it's a cheap thing. I wasn't expecting it to be this awesome sound, but you'll have to judge for yourself. This pickup here came from actually another Telecaster of mine, a project I did, which you can see the video for, with this bad boy right here. And put that back. So I had replaced the pickup in that project, so I had the old one left over. It's just a Squire bullet Telecaster pickup, and again, you can decide for yourself how it sounds. In terms of sound, I wanted to keep it sort of wide open, so I didn't have a tone control at all. I don't use tone controls hardly ever anyway, so I said, forget it, and I've done this on other projects where I only use a volume pot. And I also decided to go with a 500K pot, because I had read that, especially with single coils, a lot of people don't want them for single coils, but since I thought these would be kind of dull, low-end single coils, that I wanted to see if the 500K pot might sort of bring out the sound a little bit more and kind of make it a little more expansive. And I think it does just that. This is a regular old 3-way Fender switch, regular old Fender plate. Pickguard also came off of that other guitar because I replaced it for a white one. That guitar had a kill switch, and that's what this little hole here was for. This other hole was the hole I'd started with, which was in the wrong place. Whatever. So it's kind of a cool little mistake, but it looks neat. Do you see the wood through it? Also, the neck is a Mighty Mite neck, 22 frets, maple fingerboard. I've used them before for projects. They're affordable, and I like them. They feel good. I tried to do, here's one of the mistakes I made. I tried to do the jack out here, kind of facing more outward because I don't like it when it's down here. I didn't have the right bits and things to really get this right, so I ended up filling it in with a dowel. And as I said, I think this was going to be a kill switch, like I have on my other guitar project, but it ended up just being for the jack, which is fine. Very simple. The only thing I kind of splurged on were these Graph Tech saddle pieces here. They're the kind of vintagey style ones, but they're the individual six strings, so they're not the compensated ones. So you can actually get a more a solid intonation with these. And that's pretty much it. Like I said, a lot of mistakes were made. I just traced this thing. I didn't use a template at all. I traced that other guitar body. You can see I've definitely had some issues with the woodworking here, but as long as I sealed everything up, it's been fine. And speaking of sealing it up, in addition to just gluing it all together, another thing I had laying around was some spar urethane. So I finished the body with 3 coats of that spar urethane, sanding in between, and so this thing is not going to ever rot. The electronics will go way before this body goes, I think. So anyway, let me switch over and I will mic it up and play some tones through. I'm probably going to play it through the Jazz Chorus 40, which is right over here. And then maybe, time permitting, I might put it through the Blues Junior. And you can see how it sounds and let me know. All right, so here we go. This is the homemade plywood Telecaster through the Jazz Chorus 40. Very pure sound here. You can see what this thing can do. Just run through some samples. This is the neck pickup. Position. Here's the bridge position. So I really think, honestly, one of the standouts of this is this bridge pickup. It does have a lot of that spank that you'd want in a Telecaster, but just a fullness too. And again, some of this is just by luck, right? Let me put on a little bit of overdrive. I'm just running through a Super Overdrive Boss SD1. The drive is about a quarter of the way up, and it just adds a little something else to it. So I'm back on the neck position for this. So now here's the middle position, which I like a lot with this overdrive on. Bridge position now with the slight overdrive. Sounds out of that bridge pickup and the little bit of distortion, or I should say overdrive on there. I don't think I need to switch over to the Blues Junior. I think this is the most pure sound you're going to get through the Jazz Chorus. I think everything sounds good through the Blues Junior, so it's not really worth maybe switching over. But fiddle sound. I mean, everything about this just pops. It's so cool. And again, didn't spend a lot of money. Plywood guitar, cheap electronics, and you can do a lot with it. And like I said, the jazz chorus is not a forgiving amp. So, you know, you're hearing what this guitar really sounds like. So, hope you enjoyed that. Let me know what you think of this home-built guitar. If you have any home-built ones of your own, post the links. I love nerding out to guitar projects, especially homemade stuff and mods. So, hope you enjoyed this, and let me know if you have any questions. Thanks.